festival. And it was a matinee preview, and it was mainly the burghers of Edinburgh who had been invited to this opening. Businessmen, blah, blah, blah. And we started, and we were only 2-3 minutes into it. When clack, Seacon, clack, 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 clack. So, what do you do now? I suppose I've gotten a bit up the road after my searing adventures in the focus. I said, fuck them. I'm not giving in. I'm going ahead. Patrick actually told me he saw me. And he went on. Track, track, track. Right through, onto the interval. And there's an Irish poet there. What's his name? He's a reviewer for the Scotsman. He's Irish. He stood and waved up at Patrick at the interval. So we got a fringe award. Fine summer, 83. Phone call from Joe Downing. Did you read that script? He gave me a script by Tom Murphy called The Shielding Concert. I picked up the phone and rang Joe. Joe, I can't do that. What do you mean you can't do it? You're going to do it. No, it's too much. It's too much. You're going to do it. Now, get off the phone. He told me Godfrey Preakley was the other character in it. And Kate Flynn was the woman. So I went home past Godfrey's house. And it was probably heading for August, July, August, with September opening, I think. No, October, I think. Yeah. I was going to take the boat out of the country. The script was amazing. Another amazing script in the same year. So I went home by Godfrey's house and Godfrey, what was Godfrey doing? I said, I know what you're doing. He had the script out already. Because it was a big script. And I suppose it was that, in part, the roles were so fearsome that you had to start in July, get a handle on this script. Godfrey gave me wonderful theories about, I didn't have a fucking clue what it was about. All I did know instinctively was that it was mainly about the inner life in Spain. Really, what happens inside. It was, although it was powerfully verbal, which it was, but the topic, as I began, I think the Great Hunger, I think, had a great encouragement and was wonderful that it was on before the Shielding, because there were 2 mountains to climb, and one aided the other in a way as time went on. So anyway, let's jump forward. May I?
Yes, of course.
Am I leaving out anything?
We'll be in a better place then.
Right, so I'm looking at the script, and I said, right, I better start learning it now. And I found it very difficult to learn because I was only gradually getting a sniff of the territory we're in here. So then it came up, 4 weeks rehearsal with production week. I think that was the amount of time. Routine for rehearsal. First reading. Go home. Sweat all night. Up at 6 in the morning. learn lines. Try to remember what Patrick said. 10 o'clock, have a cup of tea, into rehearsal. Sandwich at the end, bus home in the evening, have something to eat, start working, go to bed at 12, get up at 6, have a cup of tea, etc., etc. I think there's some profit, I think. It never occurred to me until now. Maybe some actors should be frightened like that. More. Maybe that. Because Patrick's influence, you may think it is not mad or anything, but actually he is. He is. His gift, he'll never have you in the wrong place. Patrick, never have you in the wrong place. If you want to do something as a, right, then I'm driven to do this, Patrick. Is that all right? Yes, it's perfect, Tom, except move 3 feet over that way. So, this precision to get the expression of the plays is so tight, you know, that Patrick, see now, he's so polite, he's very, very, very familiar with the undertone. Very. I don't think he can do it himself, but he recognizes it, using his own words. He recognizes it. So just a little while with McIntyre, whom I worked with now, subsequently went on to be worked together, etc., etc., a lot. What's his magic? I'm not even sure if he knows himself. But he knows in his own way, even at rehearsal. He's extraordinary at rehearsal. Let me deal with that first. So we're rehearsing or reviving or whatever. He's got an eye like a hawk. And say, you don't leave, don't move, leave, etc., etc. His inner life takes an up or switches on more when he's in the rehearsal room. I'd say, or somebody else would say, look, need a line to get off here, Tom, there's no line to get off. Leave it with me. And he'll write something. His work in the rehearsal room is amazing. Because he's actually, in his own way, doing what you want to be doing. He said to me, I've forgotten one of the words, but it's worth trying to say. I said, the first day of rehearsal, I said, Mr. McIntyre, after you I went home and made cocoa. What do I do with that? Oh, he said, pitch it anywhere between the enigmatic and the mundane. Is that, you happy? Fully, I said. Very happy. It was the door again. Coming through the door again. We don't know from why. That's I'm trying to pinpoint the landscape of where he functions from. And it's sometimes, all right, I'll explain it like this. In the original rehearsal of The Great Hunger, McIntyre, in his original script, he had what he called the tangler scene. Tangler is the man at the fair day who sells the cattle. Here you hand, and then they spit on their hands, and It's full of drama. That whole fair day thing. I'm going to go out with that. Granted, it's all of it, and they're all shouting and roaring on them. But there's really good drama. So, and we're rehearsing it now. Every other scene I've been guessing is rehearsed for a day and a half or 2 days. We're now at the end of 2 days and still no further. And McIntyre comes in the next morning. It was a Friday morning, I know that. Patrick? Yes, Tom. I've solved the Tangler scene. Oh, Jesus, great. I've cut it. What I'm saying is his ruthlessness about any aspect, and he's merciless about his own script. So when he cut, and he should write the Tangler. It's great drama, but it was one step too many, and he knows that by instinct. But anyway, needless to say, then, with Tom, we worked on Patrick. I think Patrick never gets enough credit, because anybody who can vibe, as I call it, with McIntyre is mad. It's all madness. But for years, I've been working with McIntyre now for over 20, I think, years. And we find ourselves in all sorts of trouble, good, bad, and indifferent. But I said to him one day, I said, all that wonderful stuff we did, do you think, I said, that it has had any influence on the Irish theatre? Not the least. Because a lot of people say, it changed some things, which I think it did. I think it did. I think it had a profound effect on the theatre.
Tom, you're such a star. I think we just for pause 1 second for people.
Oh yeah, let them have a break.
Just 1 second. Some people may never have seen a Tom McIntyre play. As I look around the room,
right,
maybe everyone has not seen a Tom McIntyre play. And just to say that when they first were produced, The Great Hunger, Dance Your Daddy, Bearded Lady, that they weren't the standard play with actors on stage speaking to one another, that it was probably the first time you had this huge amount of movement. And highly impressionistic at times, and expressionistic, and really, it was a complete departure. And it also, for me, it kind of explored a sort of psychosexual landscape that maybe he hadn't talked about. But that, a lot of, for me, some of those plays were about that word. They would have spoken closely to McGahern's territory for women as well.
Just to be brief.
Yeah.
In The Great Hunger, Patrick Maguire is down with the bellows lighting the fire. And it develops into when they hear the gas. Yes. So you're right to include the sexual.
Yeah, it's very important because it was a whole other world, whole other space. And then Tom, some years later, did. It wasn't actually Tom McIntyre play, but I very clearly remember in Marina Carr's play on Raftery's Hill, that probably nobody's ever, a few of us in the room would have seen, that it so happens that I had a show on in the Kennedy Centre in New York. We were a play called Pentecost Prophetic, and Tom and Druid were there on Raftery's Hill. Tom playing the main part. It's a brutal part. In the part. I mean, I think the kind of part that would take an actor. It's not years to recover from. It's like the filleting or something. Anyway, just a little bit on that play as well, because you explored that kind of sexual psychosexual territory.
Yeah.
But then in that kind of play on Raftery's Hill, it was just really dark material, and it didn't have the physicality that the McIntyres had. This was literally across the floor.
Yes, it was the abuser.
Yeah.
Daddy as the abuser, in tow with the locals, specifically the male kingdom. It opens up with dead cows lying in the fields. And at the end of the first half, the eldest sister is living as his wife. That's where she is. And the younger sister is still untouched until the end of the first half, when he opens up her dress with the knife, sticks it on the table. The lights go down and he rapes her. We were going to Washington to do it. We did it in Washington. I thought they'd shoot me.
Yeah, and they nearly did.
But extraordinarily, the human behaviour is amazing. Because it's full of stuff like that. I mean, it's really unrelenting. But subtly written and hopefully played. And Gary, as director, kept going on about one sequence, which is the end of the first half, when the young man rapes her. Her question is, why doesn't someone do something? There's an older granny in the house and there's an elder sister. Why doesn't anyone? She asked all of us, no idea. Finally, Marina came down to rehearse. I knew it wouldn't be long. So, why doesn't someone? Marina. Right. Lee said to Gary that he went back a few more times. Finally, Marina answered. She said, why doesn't someone come? Maybe because it's her turn. Said Marina. Extraordinary, a beautiful, really beautiful person. That, where does that come from? It comes from brilliant writing, doesn't it?